Right then guys, it has recently been revealed that Venom actually has a god. Yes, that's right, the symbiotes have a god. They were in fact created. And their story and their god is incredibly interesting. So on the lead up to Venom's release, what I thought I would do is discuss the true origin that has just been revealed of Venom. So the symbiote's god is known as KNULL. He was an ancient, malevolent deity. He was indeed a god. His existence predated the universe itself, and he resided in complete darkness. He lived in the void. Space was his domain. When the Celestials began creating the universe, KNULL retaliated by creating a living sword from his very own shadow and managed to decapitate one of the Celestials because, of course, KNULL didn't exactly like the universe being created when he was living in the void. As a result of this, the Celestials fought back and would cast KNULL into the void. KNULL would take the Celestials' severed head as a forge and begin to temper and create the first ever symbiote. This would be a symbiote sword, and it would be imbued with the Celestials' cosmic energies. From then on, KNULL was incredibly intent on devouring the divine light that had usurped his kingdom of darkness. KNULL manifested a symbiotic suit of armor from the eldritch darkness he commanded and embarked on a genocide against the other gods. However, KNULL would be beaten, he would be wounded in combat and crash land on a desolate planet. This was where his symbiotic sword was then stolen by one of the indigenous inhabitants. Despite this setback, KNULL created an army of symbiotes and used them to conquer the planets and devour entire civilizations. He was the hive mind of the symbiotes. Originally, the symbiotes had no consciousness between them, and he was in control of essentially every single one, the center of the hive mind. Unfortunately though, a dragon-like composite symbiote under KNULL's control arrived on Earth and was defeated by the mighty Thor. KNULL's connection to the symbiote was instantly severed, trapping his consciousness in the symbiote dragon's body. The symbiotes were freed from his control, and the hive mind becoming tainted with notions of honor and nobility as they bonded to benevolent hosts. The symbiotes subsequently rebelled against their god. They would band together and imprison their very god that created them. This formed the artificial planet called Clintar, which was in fact their word for cage. So it's not actually a planet, but Clintar is just a cage, a mass of symbiotes with KNULL at the very heart. KNULL is an interesting character because, of course, he is a god and he has divine physiology. A primordial god of darkness, KNULL would possess superhuman attributes and powers far exceeding those of humans and even most other deities, because he predates the Celestials. As the creator of All Black, the Necro Sword, he likely possesses the same powers it bestows upon its host. KNULL as well possessed the ability to create, control, and manipulate a fount of eldritch darkness, a manifestation of the primordial void that he called home prior to the universe existing. He called this the living abyss. And this falls in line with the symbiote creation. KNULL manifested the first symbiote from his shadow in order to kill a Celestial, and formed the suit of symbiotic armor when embarking on his first genocidal crusade. This then led him to discover that he could in fact infect lesser creatures with the living abyss, creating the army that later rebelled against him. And as KNULL is their god, the divine progenitor of the symbiotes and the nexus of their hive mind, KNULL is able to mentally influence and dominate other symbiotes, driving them insane with bloodlust. He is capable of indwelling them, enabling him to see through their eyes and directly control them. He can also manipulate their biomasses even when not in direct contact with them, as demonstrated when he used an ancient dragon-like symbiote to attack Earth and manifest an avatar of his true form. Of course, KNULL has superhuman strength. He was strong enough to decapitate a Celestial with a single blow, and he single-handedly slaughtered entire armies of gods. though it is possible that his immense strength is at least in part due to him wielding the all-black, the Necro Sword. And along with superhuman strength, KNULL has superhuman durability. He is able to survive a blast from the Celestials, and he was unharmed by a plunge from space through the atmosphere of a planet where he crash-landed on the surface. It is believed as well that KNULL has immortality. He has lived for at the very least 13.7 billion years, having come into existence prior to the beginning of the universe itself, which is potentially why the symbiotes decided to trap him and imprison him rather than try and kill him. As they were all once connected, they likely have some knowledge of his immortality. KNULL also is able to survive the vacuum of space unaided. He does not need food, water, or sleep to survive. Remember, KNULL used to call the void his home, the everlasting blackness. And KNULL is of course able to shapeshift, capable of transforming his mouth into a fanged maw with a prehensile serpentine tongue. And along with his durability, he has a regenerative healing factor. KNULL is capable of being injured and even incapacitated. However, he is able to not only survive injuries that would kill other gods, but rapidly recover from them. He's an expert combatant, again, as displayed, as he severed the head of a Celestial with a single blow. He never received formal training, so where he attained this knowledge is not exactly clear. However, the subsequent years of combat experience has now enabled him to slaughter entire armies of gods single-handedly. KNULL is not without his weaknesses though. He is weak to divine electricity, or at least his avatars are. This is a vulnerability which was displayed when Thor decided to take on the symbiote dragon. So guys, what do you think of KNULL, the god of the symbiotes? This was recently revealed in Venom Volume 4, issue number 3. So if you haven't picked it up, please do go and check it out. It's quite interesting. When I learned this, I thought I really did have to bring you guys a video on this because I really do think you will find this interesting. This is something which undoubtedly Sony will never include in the Venom universe, but it just gives that little bit more backstory to the creature, the character that we know as Venom, and of course the Clintar, his race. And it's interesting as well that the Clintar get their name and the planet as well because it means prison, and that is where their god is imprisoned. So I know I don't normally cover Marvel characters, but as I have been covering Venom, I thought this would be a worthwhile video. If you do, however, want me to break down, explore some other Marvel characters, then please do let me know down below in the comment section, as I thoroughly enjoyed this, so I would be more than willing to go about doing that for you guys. So, is KNULL one of the characters you would hope to see in the future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe if Sony ever gives up the rights to Spider-Man and Venom to integrate it into the MCU? What do you think? Could this character be a looming future threat after Thanos? Because of course, where do you go from Thanos in the Infinity War? Where do you go? Well, KNULL could be an absolutely monstrous villain in the future, in my eyes, at the very least, anyway. However, of course, I'm not stupid. I know Sony is definitely not going to do that unless Sony gets bought, which is quite highly likely at the moment. It's been long rumoured that Sony could be bought out, so there's hope that we could see KNULL in the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forwards. But hey, we'll see. It's a fun question to pose. But what do you think? Could it be integrated into the MCU? So guys, let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. As always, if you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button. Check out everything else I have on offer. If you don't follow me on Twitter or Instagram, please do over at Mr. H Reviews. Check out my Patreon page in the description box. As always, I've been Mr. H, and I will catch you in the next video.